By the way, negotiations in South Africa were not initiated by black people. They were initiated by the apartheid regime that sought to rebrand itself. So apartheid had become a liability to whiteness and white privilege. So they had to drop apartheid, give you vote, give you other things so that you rebrand white privilege. Whites have become richer since 1994. White people live more comfortably since then. And there's been an increase in the misery of black people. So you tell me what that is. Yeah, so I think we've got to change it. We've got to change it now. Like now. And those who can wait, that's why I'm not in political parties. Those who think they can wait for 5 years. I don't think a hungry person can wait for 5 years. The people who say we must wait for 5 years are MPs, they're in political parties, they are not hungry.
Actually, that brings me to my next question that I have prepared. Now, currently, when we look at our country, we see, like you in the beginning, you and Domeko spoke about all your comrades that you brought into one room during the launch of your book. And some of these comrades have now formed political parties. And in South Africa, we are seeing a lot of formation of political parties, you know. As we head to the local government elections, we don't know which new faces we are going to see. So, and the enemy for us is common. It's inequality that we see in the country. That is one of the enemies. But is this route that we are going towards of forming many political parties the real answer to the challenge? Because I sometimes ask myself, when I sit in my own corner, I always ask myself a question: are these political parties meant to liberate us, or it's just career paths for many people? It's a question that I always ask myself when I sit in my own corner.
Yeah, I mean, my answer to your question is no. These parties can't liberate us. They are a continuation of what I call neoliberalism. This so-called democratic dispensation can trap you into something that is anti-you, you know. So I don't see, and it's the continuation of stratification of black people. Therefore, I think there are about 200 parties. For God's sake, white people only have 2 or 3. Right? Because white people know. That's why you haven't had the DA condemning AfriForum that much. You know, they can differ, but they know one thing: they don't like us. They know one thing: they want to control the resources. We don't. And so all of these things are jobs for people. They see it. And also, you know, black people just want to survive. I think when people have been oppressed for a long time, sometimes they forget the big picture. Each one just wants to survive. And so when they want to survive, they forget the rest of the people around them. You know, so I do think we've got to think differently about how do we reverse what has happened. And I call it electoralism, sort of crude electoralism. This idea that we must wait and be in the elections next year, next 5 years, and next 5 years. I can tell you now, if we don't change things now, all of us in this room will die without experiencing freedom of black people. Never, it will never happen. We've got to disrupt the system now. Philosophically, physically, we've got to disrupt everything it's about. You know, so I think what happened, you know, I quoted Fanon at the function yesterday or the other day. Because Fanon tells us actually what governments that are facing a crisis do. They rebrand. We live in rebranded apartheid. It rebranded itself for us to accept it. It needed acceptance. And that's why some people tell you, but things are fine now. You know, because apartheid rebranded itself. It gave us elections. We can use the same toilet as white people. We go to the same places. So it gave you soft things. but it controlled the resources that you need. Yeah, so I think we've got to think very, very differently.
The experience that you share in your book, and also you spoke about it, your classelo when you were in school as a teacher, is an experience that has been lived by many.
Sure.
But what breaks my heart about it is that it still happens nanamhlanje, where if there is an individual who's disliked for whatever reason, then those few people who dislike that individual can mobilize abantu ukuthi let's deal with that individual. Even people who are teachers today will tell you ukuthi esikoleni esokuthi akufundwa ngoba kuneqeqebana eli organize umphakathi against a particular teacher, so ingane zinayo esikoleni ngoba kufanele kukhishwe lo thisha. When it comes to community leaders, councillors, it happens in that space. In Luna, it happens in that space. But it is always just individuals who dislike a particular person, but because bazokwazi ukuhlanganisa abantu mase beqhamuka nendlela ukuthi akwenziwe lokhu kuze sizodila nosibani bani. And by the way, as they were doing with your family, they would not stop there. Bazokulandela ngisho suwenze ezinye izinto and still continue to try and frustrate that individual. Maybe it's what I'm exposed to, but I see it happening among us as black people towards each other. Where is this rooted? Where does it come from?
Yeah, it comes from what I call coloniality and slavehood. It means you are taught to dislike everything about yourself. And that you learn it from the person who wants to preserve their position. It's taught in schools. It's taught, maybe I offended priests when I say this. It's taught from the pulpit. It's taught at home. It's taught everywhere that a white person must occupy such a position, and while you fight amongst each other. You know, sometimes, it's a very crude example. Abantu bakithi bafana nokudedela izinja. Kunenkomo efile lapha. I'm sure you've seen this elokishini nasemakhaya. Izinja zilwe ziwu-4. Ngeziqede leya nkomo. Yeah, but ziyalwa zodwa to get it. And it's there. And I think that's what happened to black people. We're fighting over crumbs. We have nothing. Asinalutho la kwamasho. Aninalutho. Nothing. In fact, economy nayo la kwamasho. Incane kuneyase Bryanston. Or yasemhlanga. Ningaka. You know, because you were supposed to be marginalized, and you are. And so you end up turning against each other. That's, you know, the biggest asset for white minorities is black people fighting for crumbs. Because they give some of you a bigger crumb and then you fight, right? And the second example I'll give you is this. If you want to think about South Africa, I'm sure all of you have taken children to shops and all of this, and they give you a coloring chart.
Yes.
For kids to play. They only give them crayons, different colors. And the chart on the table remains the same. Post-colonial states are the same. Former oppressed and colonized people are given crayons, but the frame of the chart doesn't change.
Wow.
That's what these political parties are.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone, let's use gray, yellow here. No one has said, but this chart is problematic. This frame. And so we've never changed the frame. I think Traore is probably the only one in Burkina Faso who's beginning to change the frame. We've just been drawing using different crayons. And that's the life of black people in Durban, in Joburg, in Guyana, in Kwamashu, in Khayelitsha, in Cape Town, in Knysna. The situation has not changed. The frame has not changed. And look at the city. Look at our cities. I mean, it's filthy because it represents how we feel about ourselves.